the concept of addiction has been such a villain in my life for very long. And I think right now I'm equipped with a lot of information about what to do in such scenarios. Back then I wasn't. I don't know why I'm getting like... I've never spoken about this before, but actually it's something that I feel very strongly about. I know we spoke about it a lot that day. And I spoke to you about everything I want to do in this space as well. But I've seen so many people around me fall prey to addiction. And as a kid, I didn't know what to do about it, how to help. It was almost always like a fight or flight situation, like you're walking on eggshells. Relatives, friends, I still see it today. And what happens in our society, for some reason, although I think mental health has been significantly destigmatized, there's a lot of shame and stigma attached to addiction, specifically alcohol consumption, which is what I'm preoccupied with, which is the space that I want to predominantly work in and spread awareness about, because a lot of people in my life have been affected by it. And the information I have now is the two biggest learnings I've had in the past couple of months has been, A, it is a medical condition, the way that mental health is, the way that getting cancer is, the way that breaking your bones is. And B, it is almost always interlinked with an underlying state of compromised mental well-being. That compromised state can come as a result of the alcohol abuse or as a precursor to it. And therefore one indulges in graduating on the spectrum of casual drinking, harmful drinking, to being addicted to alcohol. And I can only talk about my story, right? I've occupied the role of what one would call a caregiver. And this is like a medical technical term that people use. And again, because we've spoken so much about guilt, I think a caregiver carries a lot of guilt.
Caregiver's guilt is a real thing.
It's a real thing. You don't know if you're doing enough to help. You don't know if you're causing the problem when someone's going into a bender. You don't know how to make it better. You don't know if... And you start blaming yourself when you start distancing yourself from the problem, when you realize that I can't help, this person needs to help themselves. और हमारे समाज में कितना होता है यार आज. How many times have you heard someone come up to say, मेरा मिस्टर रात को पी के मुझे पीटता है? My father was never... I don't want to talk about who or what or when or why, because that's not my story. My story is that of a caregiver. But I think the reason I want to do work in this space and make as much literature available to people as possible.
So let's say somebody's addicted, okay? Or I'm sure someone who's addicted would not realize that they're addicted. Very rarely or late it comes. But there are more than 100 million kids in the world right now as we speak. This is 24th data, so I'm sure 26 more change ho gaya hoga, who have an immediate family member who's addicted and they are facing the consequences of it. So more than 100 million people are under this. सबने किसी न किसी में देखा होगा, किसी के घर में dad, mom, uncle, auntie, bhai, बहन, like somebody is addicted, right? Husband, wife. What should they not do if they've realized कि घर में कोई addicted है? What you have done and you think it's absolutely bullshit thing to do?
This I've only learned in the past couple of days, so I'm sharing this knowledge. And I learned it through this organization that I'm partnering with, Amaha. They have, I think they have the kind of expertise that I'm looking for to get the kind of literature and insight and help to people that I want to. So after spending time with a lot of their medical professionals, one of the main things that they said to me was, you almost should never confront the person when they're in a delirious state, when they're under the influence. But you can't
जब वो
help.
पी के आए तब उन्हें नहीं
हाँ,
बोलो
तब
कि तुम
उनको
पिए हुए हो.
हाँ, and never approach it with an accusatory tone.
Even when they're not drunk.
Yeah, like आरोप मत लगाओ.
जब वो सोबर हैं तब भी आरोप ना लगाओ.
तब भी आरोप मत लगाओ. और मैंने वो किया है यार, और मुझे इतना बुरा लगा वो सुनकर, because they said that that causes more damage.
क्या होता है अगर किसी को बोलो, आरोप लगाओ कि तू तो बहुत बेवड़ा है या तू बहुत पीता है या पीती है.
या मेरे सिचुएशन में, मेरे मल्टीपल सिचुएशंस में पता है क्या हुआ है? It's led to another bender. That denial, that defensiveness. Because someone who's in that state, जो struggle already कर रहा है addiction के साथ, उनको बस बहाना चाहिए ना. See, it happens for many reasons. I think escapism. I've met people who turn to drinking because they have severe confidence issues. So they feel more uninhibited when they drink. They feel less anxiety, and then they sort of become dependent on it. Or because they feel too much and they want to numb whatever it is they're dealing with. So when you accuse them and you say you're drunk, right? Why do you think that's okay to do? That's too much to deal with. Then you're like, fuck it यार, मैं bender पे चली जाती हूँ या चला जाता हूँ 10 दिन के लिए. I don't have to deal with this shit.
What do you mean by bender?
Bender in my vocabulary, how I've seen it to many people in my life, it's looked similar to me. You wake up in the morning, you're inebriated, you're not sober. You miss professional commitments. You don't show up personally in the capacity that you usually do. You just don't have a hold of yourself. I always, for me, it was always a red flag when someone is inebriated during the day, when someone can drink alone, when someone disappears now. Like, to me, I've had such a track record of trying to track people down that when they're fishy about where they're going or their whereabouts, for me, it's an immediate red flag, even if it doesn't mean addiction. Because in my history, it's almost always meant that they've said they're going to one place, but they're going to a bar, or they're going to a restaurant, or they're going to a supermarket to buy
more alcohol.
Yeah.
But do you see, if people around you, if they start drinking randomly, do you get anxious? Do you see that as a red flag?
No.
Like, do you change the way you look at them? Let's say, for example, you and I, we just open a bottle right now, we start drinking.
That I would find weird on this podcast. No, but...
There are a lot of podcasts around the world people drink. I don't drink. I've never drank.
You've never drank?
I've never drank.
You know, that's another thing. Another thing that I learned, courtesy Amaha, was that your prefrontal cortex, it only fully develops between the ages of 25 to 30. And if you consume alcohol before, that compromises the growth of the development of your brain.
But were you aware that, are you fully aware? Forget were. Are you fully aware? The more you associate yourself with this Off the Rocks entire campaign, emotion, things that you're doing with them, Amaha, alcohol addiction, the more you talk about it, the more people are going to question you, bring so many things which will attack you.
Yeah.
And you have the tendency to look at negative.
So I'll tell you where I'm coming from. People talk in any case, right? And people are going to talk in any case. This has shaped a lot of who I am today. I know a lot in this. I've experienced a lot in this space. I know what I struggled with. My main frustration was I didn't know where to go. I didn't know how to get help. I didn't know if what I was doing was right or wrong. And the thing with something like addiction is, of course, the person who is abusing the substance is going through a whole lot of trauma, physiologically, mentally. But it's very traumatic for the people around them as well. And it doesn't need to be that way. If the shame around addiction, the destigmatization of it was there, it can be a lot more open as a conversation. It's not a moral flaw to be addicted. It's a medical situation. I didn't look at it from that lens. And if I'm saying I want to have conversations so I take away the shame and the stigma and this and that, then how can I only be guarded? How can I be a hypocrite like that? It is my truth. It is the journey that I've lived. It's shaped how I look at things, who I am. And I don't just want to, like, I don't know what kind of person I would be or what legacy I would leave behind if I didn't do anything with it, if I didn't help people with it, because I needed that help. I sounded really... When I get emotional, I get like that.
It's okay. You're allowed to feel emotional. Come on.
Yeah. So it's...
What frustrates you about this?
I think the anticipation that I know I'm operating from a very pure and genuine place. I know people won't look at it like that. I know most people won't. But I want to attempt this still because I just want to. I don't know.
Why?
You tell me, you psychoanalyze me and tell me why.
No, I'm asking you. I don't...
Because like I said, I wish I had those answers. I wish I was in scenarios where it wasn't such a taboo thing to talk about, because it could and it can still help so many people. And it sounds like a very phony, corny, bumper sticker thing to say, but I want what I bring to the table as a person with my platform to be just beyond the professional work that I do. That's not satisfying for me anymore. It's the reason, it's the thing that's kept me alive for sure, but it's not enough. I have this part of me to offer. I really do. And I know what a dark place it can be. So if even one person can feel a little less alone in that black hole, I think on my deathbed, I'd feel a little better about myself.
But you used to think that people who are addicted, you used to morally judge them? You used to feel that they are ये
moral flaw है.
हाँ, ये moral flaw है, ये कैसे हैं, इनको क्या परिवार की नहीं पड़ी, खुद की नहीं पड़ी, कैसे बेवड़े हैं,
I used to think like that. Bevde and all, I don't know, because a lot of these people were very close to me. Are very close to me still.
Drunkard, addicted, whatever word.
No, I used to, you know what I used to think? I used to think weak.
They're weak.
I used to think lack of willpower. I used to think craves attention, which is all so wrong.
You used to feel people who are addicted, they're attention seeking.
They're attention, or they're weak. How is this feeling of euphoria or inhibition, how does that mean more to you than being present, being alive? How does it mean more to you than your health, than the health of the people you care about, than showing up to perform your duties as a part of a unit in a family or in a professional scenario? How can you compromise all of that for a bottle of a liquid that is basically poisonous? It's poison. But I think it alters your generational history. And you're okay to do that for a glass of whiskey at night. So I used to think of it as a moral flaw, but it's not. It's a medical condition. Insurance doesn't cover, I think it's just started covering mental health care, mental care. I think it has.
I don't know. I think mainstream conversation mein to nahi hai.
Shayad, but have you seen someone going through withdrawals? It's not okay. It's like they need to be in professional care if it's an extreme case.
And professional care in India is horrible right now.
It's horrible. Have you seen that video of, I think it was in some rehabilitation center where they like, I don't know if they were kept against their will or what, but they like
died.
No, they like broke through and they were trying to break the And a lot of what happens in some of these institutes is that they try to correct your behavior through punishment, through physical and mental abuse, sometimes even sexual. So there's a dearth of qualified medical practitioners that can give you a holistic approach to recovery. I found partners that I trust, thankfully. And I think that's because a lot of what they communicated to me in our one-on-ones, I found very insightful. And it's helped me deal with a lot of situations that are still live as we speak in my life.
So they help you get, if you are addicted or if one of your family members is addicted, you go to them and then they help you out with it?
Yeah. In any and every way in which you see, they meet you where you are. It's not like they
and they help you get better with your addiction.
Yes.
Have you seen cases where people have like just completely left?
Alcohol? Yeah, I actually met a patient day before yesterday who's 140 days sober.
And used to be like full, like everyday drinking.
Yeah, he said like 4 bottles a day.
4 bottles a day?
At his peak of wine, I think he said.
Have you seen someone who used to drink a lot and perpetually has left it?
Like has gone cold turkey on it? No.
I've seen people with smoking going cold turkey.
My dad.
He's
gone cold turkey.
A lot of people. But I've not seen people with alcohol going extremely like just...
I had that. So I'm not a frequent drinker. I drink maybe once every couple of months. But during COVID, there was a phase of 1 year. I wouldn't say I was addicted or I was abusing alcohol, but I was drinking frequently. And this was after a very traumatic experience in my life. I felt the need to just like, I need to get drunk. And then I didn't like what it was doing to my body. I didn't like how I was feeling when I was waking up. That feeling of a hangover, it gives me such an ick. And I started, it was so weird. I remember one day I could smell on myself a smell that was very familiar to someone in my life who struggled with addiction. And I would associate that smell with, okay, it's not a good day. You know, when I didn't know that alcohol addiction was a thing, for me, it was always like looking at the person saying, okay, it's a good day. It's a normal day. Or looking at them and saying, okay, it's a bad day. Maybe 3 days, maybe 4. And like just, it was a good day or a bad day. And when I smelled that on myself, I was like, and then I think I didn't drink at all for a year and a half. And now I'm like, New Year's mein, shayad 6 mahine mein ek baar aise.
Are you okay with it?
I'm like friendly with it. But the thing is that medically it's proven to be poisonous. It's a group 1 carcinogenic. No amount of alcohol is good for you.
Yeah.
Having said that, I do drink occasionally. It's hard to tell people to just not drink. But what I am, my call to arms with Off the Rocks and with everything I'm doing with Amaha is don't abuse it. Identify when you're crossing over to that space. And if you can see these red flags in someone you care about, here's how you can go about it. This is my intention and agenda and hope.
Like if somebody is crossing that limit, then this is how they can actually come back to life.
Yeah. Or okay, maybe you think this is crossing the limit. Maybe they're still well within the range of what is normal.
Do you know about the Portugal model? The addiction, how Portugal fought addiction.
No.
The entire country was going through this entire sort of epidemic of addiction. People were like taking drugs left, right and center.
Really? It happened a lot during both the world wars also.
Like Portugal had the worst problem in the world.
Really?
Population wise, yeah. And they're the only country, I think, who've tackled it they've made it a national issue and they reversed the
addiction. I didn't know that.
And they reversed the addiction.
How?
So उन्होंने decriminalize कर दिया.
Alcohol को?
नहीं, drugs वगैरह सबको.
हाँ.
और इंसेंटिव्स दे दिए कि जो एडिक्टेड लोगों को हायर करेगा उनको टैक्स नहीं लगेगा, उन लोगों के लिए बहुत सारे गेम्स बना दिए, सोशल गैदरिंग्स बना दी, बहुत लाइक सोसाइटी में बहुत एजुकेशन बनाया कि यू वोंट सी देम एज addicted people.
But wouldn't that encourage addiction then?
That's what everybody said. But then they found out the same thing that you're talking about. कि बहुत सारे लोग जो addicted हैं वो genuinely इससे बाहर आना चाहते हैं, but society उनको ऐसे thrash कर देती है कि यार छी addicted,
but
वो ऐसे ही पड़े रह जाते हैं. So they don't even have a chance to come back
to life. But वो society अलग है ना, वहाँ at least एडिक्शन की बात होती है, यहाँ तो सुमड़ी में लोग एडिक्ट
पहले वहाँ पे भी नहीं था ना, तो पहले वहाँ पे एडिक्शन में नहीं, सुमड़ी में जो थे जो पड़े रहते थे बस उनको ऐसे देखते थे पागल हो गए साइड में फेंको उनको. दे टर्न्ड दैट बैक बिकॉज वो बहुत बड़ा बन गया था केस. एंड देन देयर वाज अ रैट एक्सपेरिमेंट डन एडिक्शन पे.
व्हाट वाज द एक्सपेरिमेंट?
सो कि यू गिव इट अ ड्रग एंड सी, दोनों को ड्रग्स दे दिए, एक रैट को ड्रग नहीं दिया. ओके मतलब ओके लेट मी रीफ्रेम इट. 2 रैट्स थे, दोनों एडिक्टेड थे, उनको थोड़ा थोड़ा कुछ ड्रग दिया था, आई डोंट नो व्हिच वन.
कोकेन, आई थिंक आई हैव सीन दिस.
हाँ, समथिंग दे डिड एंड दे बोथ वर आस्किंग फॉर मोर एंड मोर. तो एक तो जब उसको नहीं दिया तो डाइड.
आई हैव सीन दिस.
राइट. द अदर वन didn't even ask for addiction क्योंकि जो उसका सेंटर था जिसमें उसको बंद कर रखा था, एक्टिविटीज थी, रोलर कोस्टर लगा दिया था, अलग अलग चीजें लगा दी थी, तो वो खेलने में बिजी हो गया.
Which is why cricket. Which is why I was like play cricket.
So addiction is so there's a doctor in India, he's one of the best doctors in the world. His name is Anirudh Kala.
हाँ.
लुधियाना या जालंधर है, पंजाब में है वो. Addiction doctor has written a great book on it. He argues, he says all of us are addicted
to something or the other.
We all are addicted.
What do you think you're addicted to?
Work. Very clear in my
Yeah, but
case.
that even I'll say I'm addicted to work. But no, really think about it.
But for real, I'm addicted to work. I solve my problems by working more.
Are you addicted to the feeling that achieving something at work gives you? Or are you addicted to the act of like working, like sitting in this podcast with me and having this conversation? You're addicted to these conversations, or you're addicted to the high that सफलता जब मिलती है वो feeling से addicted हो? Dopamine किस चीज से मिलती है आपको?
The process, the chasing, the thing that we're doing right now.
Okay.
मुझे इससे डोपामीन नहीं मिलती कि ये जब बाहर जाएगा तो इसमें से क्या कटेगा जिसपे 5 मिलियन व्यूज आएंगे. I don't give a shit.
Okay.
मुझे इससे डोपामीन मिलता है कि the fact that we're having this conversation and probably कि कुछ भी दुनिया में बात कर सकते, like हम शायद when I look at you or like the box that probably internet wants to know about you would be कि अच्छा Nepokid, आपको कैसा लगा, आपको first time पे और क्या लगता है, आपके लिए चीज़ें कैसे आसान हैं and all that. We can talk about that, but we're not talking about this, and we're talking about Portugal ने कैसे addiction लिया. I get high from this. So if there's some problem going on in my life, I come to work. I'll start reading, researching, doing something.
Yeah, no, so then by that logic, I'm addicted to being in front of the camera. And not from a vanity standpoint, from almost the same standpoint that an alcoholic would chase escapism. But I don't want to use it lightly because that is a medical condition. I don't think what we're dealing with is not medical at all.
Tell me, what do you think? Like people in your life who you have seen being addicted, वो कौन सी चीज escape कर रहे थे? क्योंकि mostly सारे addicts कुछ ना कुछ escape कर रहे होते हैं.
I think for the 3-4 women in my life that I've seen struggle with addiction, it's been a combination of wanting to feel confident and uninhibited and the pressure of being perfect all the time, the burden of being put together all the time. So they looked at it as a reward. And of course, in one case, it was as a result of a very traumatic death also.
Okay, so one was trying to escape grief, and the
other was trying to
escape
societal pressures. I think you can even club
both of them together.
Yeah.
Actually. But tell me one, need to be perfect in front of the world, so they use it as a reward. You said something like this.
Yeah, they use
it was
it
like
as
almost
a
reward ki because I'm perfect in the world, I can now be just myself. And
No.
this is the time that I be myself, and I can be just reckless, and I can behave whatever the way I want to be.
Yeah, I think looking at it as a reward, as in, even when it gets too loud in your head, to numb that, to make it easier to deal with all of that. Because even the burden of wanting to be perfect or be dutiful comes from that inner voice and inner anxiety, right? So I think to escape that, sometimes you would feel like, yaar, itna sab kuch kar liya, mujhe to abhi bas pee ke pade rehna hai. I don't want to perform my duties. But that's how I'm simplifying it. Again, it's a medical thing.
Of course.
I'm
trying to ask your version. That's
yeah, but that was my version. But now that I'm looking at it, that was a very clear symptom of anxiety and depression. For the person dealing with grief, it was a very obvious trauma response. For some of the men in my life who have dealt with addiction, I think it's genetic. I've seen it in
genetic addicted होते हैं लोग.
No, I think that वो एक होता है ना, वो addictive personality. I've seen it in their parents, one of their parents, and I see it in them.
थैंक यू सो मच ये वीडियो एंड तक देखने के लिए, और ऐसे ही इन्फॉर्मेशनल एंड एजुकेशनल क्लिप्स के लिए राजशमानी क्लिप्स चैनल को सब्सक्राइब कर लीजिए.